2 weeks after he was shot and killed by Akron police, funeral services were held today for 25-year-old Jayland Walker.
City leaders declaring today a citywide day of mourning with a number of prayer vigils starting right now in the 6 o'clock hour at community centers across Akron. Now, those vigils are part of a day full of prayer, memories, and goodbyes.
God does not waste moments, and it's so important to share the moments with the people that you love as often and as much as we can with each other.
Now, people filed into the Akron Civic Theater starting at 10 this morning to honor Jayland Walker and pay respects to his family. The funeral service for the 25-year-old was filled with those calling on the community to not be complacent about what happened to him and so many other black men and women.
We cannot make the deaths of our sons and daughters at such an early age the normal thing. There is nothing normal about this.
And that very sentiment was echoed after Jayland's services. His family's attorneys talking about what's next. Our News 5's Bob Jones was there and he brings us the latest.
Well, Courtney, attorneys for Jayland Walker and family members gathered in a different part of the Akron Civic Theater immediately following that funeral service. And one of the attorneys said that investigators with the United Nations are now getting involved in the case.
What we understand is that there's going to be a process where they elect the independent investigative experts, to review the matter. I imagine that the review will start at the conclusion of the publication of the Bureau of Criminal Investigations report.
Attorney Bobby DiCello says the group is called the United Nations International Independent Mechanism to Advance Racial Justice and Equality, which will examine what happened to Jayland Walker in Akron. And DiCello says this marks their biggest case to get involved in since the death of George Floyd. After hundreds of mourners left the service today, Walker's attorneys once again called on the city for a public apology and urged the police department to get dash cameras for cruisers. The department currently only has body-worn cameras. Walker's death has created a tremendous amount of tension in Akron and has led to numerous protests. Most of them have been peaceful, and the family continues to urge peaceful protests. Walker was unarmed when he was shot about 60 times after 8 officers fired their guns after a chase. Those officers are on leave while BCI is investigating. Today, Walker's cousin from Texas fought through tears as he talked about leaving his daughters behind to travel to Akron to say goodbye to Jayland.
I have 2 girls. They're 6 and 4. And when my cousin gets killed, I'm trying to figure out arrangements to get here, and I have to leave them behind because I don't want them to be exposed to the reality.
Make no mistake about it, every single shot will be accounted for. Every single one. Those officers will be held accountable. And as we shared today, the United Nations is now coming in.
2 vehicles with those. And we did not hear from the Akron mayor or the Akron police chief today. They decided to not hold a daily briefing out of respect for the funeral service in Akron today. Live in Akron, Bob Jones, News 5.
Our thanks to you, Bob. And Akron's municipal court will still be closed for the rest of the week, and Akron's downtown curfew is still in effect from 11 tonight until 5 in the morning. And Rob, this may have been a day to remember and say goodbye to Jayland, but residents here are determined to see changes in this community. They say this is just the beginning. In fact, I talked to the city council president this evening, and she tells me that the council is very interested in some sort of citizens review board that would oversee the police department here in Akron.
Wow, a tough day all around. I'm so glad, though, that the severe weather cleared out for that so very important coverage. Courtney, thank you so much. News 5 will bring you any new information on the investigation into Jayland's death and what's happening in the Akron community, both on air and online.